Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of this video podcast. Is anyone out there? Tales of a 50-year-old gamer. And that's me. I'm a 50-year-old gamer. You may call me Pook. That's the name I go by online in most situations, Pook Ninja. And I wanted to try this podcast. I've done podcasts in the past with other people, but never tried one really by myself. Something I thought about doing for my YouTube channel, just to see how it turns out, see if people like it, don't like it, or whatever. This is kind of a test. I guess this would be introduction if you've never heard of me, seen me, or anything like that. 50-year-old gamer, been married for 26 years, have 2 grown children. Big video gamer. I've played video games since I was a little kid. From the arcades. That's where I started playing arcades, playing Space Invaders and Pac-Man and Galaga and stuff like that, pole position. And then like when Double Dragon came out, I remember Double Dragon first coming, mind was blowing, And home gaming, I didn't really get a whole lot into until really the NES. I mean, I was all about the arcades, and I remember playing the Super Mario Brothers Versus and the Excite Bike VS at the arcade. And then when the NES came out, I remember I wanted Excite Bike with it. And also, I'm a big pro wrestling fan, and I seen there was a wrestling game for the NES that was out at that time as well called Pro Wrestling. So I remember the Christmas, and it was 1986, I do believe. 1986, the Christmas of 1986, I got my first NES. Came with Duck Hunt and Gyromite. It came with Rob, my robotic operating buddy. Yeah, my buddy old pal. Which, ended up, I think most people at that time realized that thing didn't work like as advertised. It was cool looking, but it was all about the gaming though. I really enjoyed Duck Hunt, and I got with the gun and everything. And then I did get Excite Bike with it. One of my relatives, I believe it was my Aunt Linda and Uncle Marvin bought me Excite Bike. And then money I got for Christmas from my grandparents, I picked up pro wrestling from Kmart, the greatest retail store. Hey, Kmart was kind of a, in my town, in Indiana. Kmart was a big deal in 86. They had all the G.I. Joe toys and all the WWF LJN wrestling guys and all that stuff. In 86, I would have been 12 years old. I wasn't so much into toys, but I was definitely into video games. I've always been into video games. And and I remember getting my NES, and that's where the addiction. I mean, arcades were fun, and I loved it and enjoyed it. And we did actually have a ColecoVision with the adapter that let you play Atari 2600 games on the ColecoVision, because we didn't own too many ColecoVision games. I think when I was a kid, we owned like Turbo with the steering wheel, and we owned Smurfs and Zaxxon by Sega for ColecoVision, which was a favorite. But we owned a crap load of Atari 2600 games. And then I remember going to KB toy stores when they had all the Atari and ColecoVision games in bins, and were selling them for like $3 a piece and $2 a piece. And I don't know why I didn't buy a lot of ColecoVision games. I bought more Atari 2600 games. I don't know why. I was just more into playing the Atari, I guess. But it was all arcade. I mean, arcade games was where it was at that time for me. And I, a lot of the little like Tomy handhelds. I had like the Burger Time handheld game. I played a lot of handheld games, some Metallictronic ones. I had a lot of those, and some of the Radio Shack handheld games, because they had a lot of cool handheld games back then. And that was it. But when the NES came out, it was like game changer, with my first lineup of Excite Bike, Duck Hunt, and pro wrestling. And I just fell in love with it even more once the NES came out. And I never quit playing. I mean, I know there's a lot of guys in my age, when they got to high school, they kind of quit playing video games, and hell, I was buying a lot of their games for cheap. They'd sell them to me, and I was still buying, by the time I got to high school, then Sega Genesis came out and Super Nintendo and all of that. But yeah, I've always had a history of video games. It's almost like the stuff I liked when I was 10 years old is the same stuff I like now. maybe I never evolved. I liked professional wrestling. I liked video games, football, professional football, stuff like that. Humor, Mad Magazine, comedy that's like put downs and stuff like that. I've always enjoyed that kind of stuff, and that I still do. I still do. But this is introduction first podcast here. I just kind of want to do a little podcast and see how it goes. See if there's gamers and people kind of similar to me out there listening and watching this stuff, and hopefully not too boring for you. And yeah, hopefully it's an easy listen for you. Either you're on your way to work or bored or doing whatever, So like right now, it's actually 1 in the morning, September 23rd. I need to go to bed in a little bit. I don't. So, but yeah, I mean, and I think a future podcast be talking a lot of video games, a lot of wrestling, a lot of childhood stuff, some stuff about being a dad and a husband, and just, just different topics, maybe different topic every week. As for guests and stuff, I don't know. I haven't thought that much. This is just kind of flying off the seat of my pants. I don't have anything written down. I didn't really put a whole lot of thought into it. So just something I wanted to try doing. So yeah, I think introduction episode podcast. Is anyone out there? Tales of a 50-year-old gamer. Kind of gave you a brief history of my gaming, like I said, I remember first playing, I want to say it was Space Invaders at a laundromat. It was the first game I ever played in the arcade Space Invaders, and I just remember playing it and the sound, the sound effects, and it just drew me in. And I mean, back then, a lot of the arcade games were just like space shooters and stuff like that. And then Pac-Man came out. Pac-Man was always great, and then it just went on from there. And I mean, now all the game consoles and everything that's out there is just amazing. I've been through it all with all of it from the beginning to now. And I mean, I love it. I own lots and lots of game consoles and game systems and gaming related stuff. And it's just, a hobby, but almost a way of life in a way. I mean, there's been times where I've had to get rid of 90% of my stuff due to jobs and money and stuff, but I haven't had to do that now. Being older, I'm more secure with my finances and stuff, and I don't have to sell any of my stuff, thankfully. So, but yeah, just a little introduction. First episode here, and if people like it, and if I get any feedback that people like it and want it to continue, I think I'll do more. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the trial episode, the episode 1 of Is Anyone Out There? Tales of a 50-year-old gamer and a 50-year-old guy, married, kids, went through all of it with the kids from little to adulthood with my children. And yeah, we talk about all kinds of different stuff, different topics, so All right. I hope everybody enjoyed this, and hope you have a good day or evening or whatever time it is that you're watching or listening to this. And take care.